Number 5. So if they give us this equation here, and they want us to solve for x. So let me write it over here with a little more room. Minus 6 over 3x plus 4 equals -1. There we go. Okay, so and the name of the game is to get x alone. Okay, so what do we do first? Well, you could do a lot of things first. It doesn't really. There's different orders. Like I said, I'm going to subtract the 4 first. That I know I've written different orders at different times. With an equal sign, you have freedom. Do whatever you want as long as you do it to both sides. You got to do the same thing to both sides. And these cancel. And so let's bring this down. We've got it's a little too far. This. So we've got minus 6 over 3x equals, on the other side, these guys make -5, don't they? Okay, now we're trying to get x alone. We've got this whole fraction right here. What do we do to get rid of that entire fraction?
Divide by -2.
Yeah, it's really -2, isn't it? Good observation. Yeah, if you're looking at it, you might notice that's actually just a -2. Let me, you know what? To make it more interesting, because you're right, that's exactly what we should do. Let me make it like a 7/3. To make this problem more interesting, because you're right, that's just -2. I mean, it's just kind of silly, huh? You guys are right. Good observation. Let me change it though, because they might give you one that's harder like that. So in that case, we can't just say it's -2. Now we've got a whole weird fraction to deal with. So I'd rather teach you that, because that could happen to you. I don't want to just do the easy case, you know, and then, hey, it wasn't hard, and then you do your own homework and it's super hard. So how would we handle it if it was -7/3 now? How do you get rid of -7/3? Well, we multiply both sides by the opposite, don't we? In other words, 3/7. 3/7. Why? Because the 3's will cancel and the 7's will cancel. Remember cross canceling? Remember when you're multiplying fractions, you're allowed to cross cancel? Remember that? And so now that there's one other thing, it's not quite right. I have to make one small change. If I do that, if I just do what's right there, I would have -x left, right? This negative sign right here would still be left. I don't want that negative sign. Remember, I want x to say, hey, look, I'm a loner. I want to be totally alone. I don't want a negative sign with me. I don't want a fraction with me or a number. I don't want anything. I want to be alone. I'm a big loner. So what can I do to get rid of the negative sign also? I mean, it's good I've got rid of these 3's and I've got rid of these 7's by multiplying by the upside down, which called the reciprocal. So you multiply by the upside down, but also I should put a negative. I should multiply both sides by negative upside down. Why? Because then 2 negatives will make positive, won't they? Remember how 2 negatives, when you multiply 2 negatives multiply or divide to equal a positive, don't they? We good? And positive x is just regular x. Beautiful. Okay, and remember, whatever you do to one side, you have no choice but to do the same exact thing to the other. Equal treatment, right? Okay, so what happens on the other side? Well, we have -5 multiplying -3/7. What do you do? Well, it's going to come out positive again because 2 negatives positive again, right? Now, what do you do when you have a whole number interacting with a fraction? Remember?
You put a 1 below it.
Beautiful. Put a 1 below it. That's right. And then you cross cancel if you can, but 5 and 7 don't cross cancel. So then you just multiply. Top times top, bottom times bottom. So it's going to be 15. right? 5 times 3 is 15 on the top times top. Bottom times bottom, 1 times 7 is just 7. There we go. We don't even need anything more. 15 sevenths. So does everybody see what? Let's go back again. First step, as I subtracted 4 from both sides, because that's the opposite of the plus 4, the added 4. Subtract 4 from both sides. And then to get rid of a fraction, which is right next to x, you multiply both sides by the upside down, called the reciprocal. But you got to watch the signs. You need to make it positive x, because that's, x alone, nothing with x. You can't have a negative x. So how do you do that? Well, if you have a negative thing, you multiply by another negative, because 2 negatives make a positive. Whatever you do to one side, you have no choice but to do the same thing to the other. And then these all just cancel out, and 2 negatives make positive. X is alone. And then on the other side, 2 negatives make positive. And you put the 5 over 1, and you cross cancel if you can, but there's no cross canceling here. So multiply top with top, bottom with bottom. And there we go.